Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Tunisia has announced an interim national unity government days after a popular revolt ousted President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali. In what's been called the first Middle East revolution since 1979, Ben Ali fled Tunisia on Friday after a month of unprecedented protests. Thousands took to the streets to rally against unemployment, high food prices, corruption, and state repression. At least 80 people were killed in a government crackdown. On Monday, Tunisian Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi announced members of opposition parties will hold government positions for the first time. But key figures of the old guard, including the former defense, foreign, interior, and finance ministers, will keep their posts in the new government. Up to 1,000 protesters took to the streets Monday in protest and called for the exclusion of all members of the Ben Ali government.
We are not expecting anything from these criminals. Their laws are made with the blood of the Tunisians. They are liars. They are assassins. They are criminals. Can you trust a liar? The one who has been supporting a dictator? We don't want them anymore. If they don't understand, what language do we have to use?
We hate them! On veut plus de out, out, out!
The protests that led to President Ben Ali's overthrow gained momentum last month after unemployed university graduate Mohamed Bouazizi set himself on fire. He died earlier this month. The self-immolation has led to apparent copycat protests in other North African states, with 4 men setting themselves on fire in Algeria and 1 each in Egypt and Mauritania. We'll spend the hour on Tunisia and the Middle East after headlines. Federal officials are reportedly preparing to hold the trial of the alleged Arizona shooter, Jared Loughner, out of state. The Washington Post reports Loughner's trial will be moved to San Diego, California, within several weeks. Officials have cited the sensitivity of the case and the fact that one of the slain victims was Arizona's chief federal judge, John Roll. A funeral service was held for Roll in Tucson on Friday. Loughner's former college, meanwhile, has released a home video of his in which he tours the campus at night. The video was first posted to YouTube in September. In these excerpts, Loughner refers to Pima Community College as, quote, a genocide school.
This is my genocide school, where I'm going to be homeless because of the school. This is Pima Community College, one of the biggest scams in America. The students are so illiterate that it affects their daily lives. This is genocide in America. Thank you. This is Jared from Pima College.
Doctors treating Democratic Congressmember Gabrielle Giffords have upgraded her condition to serious from critical. Giffords is reportedly now able to smile and even gave her husband a back rub as he sat by her hospital bed. The Washington Post, meanwhile, is reporting Giffords could lose her seat under a long-time Arizona regulation that mandates a special election if an elected official does not perform their duties for 3 months. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer has suggested she'll amend the statute to ensure Giffords retains her seat. A victim wounded in the Arizona shooting was arrested this weekend for threatening a Tea Party spokesperson. The victim, James Eric Fuller, was arrested for allegedly photographing Trent Humphreys and shouting, quote, "You're dead," in an ABC TV forum. The outburst came at a town hall meeting in Tucson where Fuller had just voiced support for renewing a push to loosen state gun laws after the slain victims' funerals. A 63-year-old disabled vet, Fuller was shot in the knee and back during the shooting. In a Democracy Now! Interview one day before his arrest, Eric Fuller said right-wing opposition to gun control enabled the Arizona attack.
The first thing that I wrote down and what my reaction was to it was how many other demented people are out there. It looks like Palin, Beck, Sharon Engel, and the rest got their first target. Their wish for Second Amendment activism has been fulfilled. Senseless hatred leading to murder, lunatic fringe anarchism subscribed to by John Boehner, mainstream rebels with vengeance for all.
Buller remains in custody under involuntary psychiatric observation. On Monday, he issued an apology through his partner, expressing regret for what he called, quote, misplaced anger. On Capitol Hill, Republicans are moving ahead with their effort to repeal last year's health care law. The measure will come to the House floor today, followed by a vote on Wednesday. Democrats have already vowed to block its advancement in the Senate. On the eve of the Republican move, a new poll shows public support for repealing the health care law has plunged over the past week. According to Associated Press, just 30% of Americans say they strongly oppose the law, and only 1 in 4 back a full repeal. A poll earlier this month showed that a majority supported repeal by a margin of 46 to 40%. Among the health care law's most popular features is a provision barring insurance companies from rejecting people with pre-existing medical conditions. A new government study out today estimates as many as 129 million Americans under the age of 65 have medical conditions that would trigger either rejections or price hikes from insurance companies. According to the study, 1/5 to 1/2 of the non-elderly in the United States have ailments that would limit their ability to obtain insurance if the law is repealed. The provision is set to take effect in 2014. A measure barring the rejection of insurance to children with pre-existing conditions came into effect last year. At least 60 people have been killed and another 150 wounded in a suicide attack in the northern Iraqi city of Tikrit. The bomber reportedly detonated an explosive vest in a line of people applying for jobs with the police. It was the deadliest incident in Iraq since October 31st, when a siege at a Baghdad church killed at least 53 people. Meanwhile, 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in Iraq Saturday, making it one of the deadliest days for U.S. forces there in months. This weekend also marked the 20th anniversary of the first U.S. attack on Iraq in what the military named Operation Desert Storm. Estimates of the Iraqi dead reach as high as 3,600 civilians and some 35,000 soldiers. Election monitors in Sudan are predicting residents of southern Sudan have overwhelmingly voted to break off from the north in a week-long referendum. The chair of the Southern Sudan Referendum Commission, Mohamed Ibrahim Khalil, praised the vote.
It was a very orderly process, very peaceful, very civilized. As a matter of fact, I've watched a number of elections in this country, and I think this has been the most peaceful, the most orderly, and the quietest. And I think it is really a great achievement.
If approved, southern Sudan's secession from Sudan would take effect in July. International prosecutors have issued draft indictments in their probe of the 2005 assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik al-Hariri. The contents of the indictments remain under seal and may not emerge for another 6 weeks. Lebanon's National Unity government collapsed last week after Hezbollah-tied officials quit their cabinet posts in protest of the Lebanese government's ties to the probe and the rumored indictments of Hezbollah members. Hezbollah has denied involvement in Hariri's assassination and denounced the tribunal as a tool of the United States. Former Haitian dictator Jean-Claude Duvalier has returned to Haiti 25 years after a popular uprising forced him into exile. Known as Baby Doc, Duvalier succeeded his father, François Duvalier, following the elder Duvalier's death in 1971. Jean-Claude Duvalier oversaw the killings and torture of thousands of people, mostly at the hands of the militia known as the Tonton Macoute. In a surprise return from exile in France, Duvalier said he had come back to assist Haiti's rebirth in the aftermath of last year's earthquake. Javier Zuniga of Amnesty International called on the Haitian government to prosecute Duvalier.
We are asking for him to be arrested and to be put forward a trial, no? Because during his time, extrajudicial executions, disappearances, and systematic torture was just the mark of his regime. The time of the Duvaliers, it was a lost, years that for Haiti development, for Haiti human rights progress, and therefore, if something, if the weakness of the state in Haiti right now comes from that time, and I think he's also responsible for that.
Asked about the prospect of Duvalier's arrest, Haitian Prime Minister Jean-Marc Berive said only that judicial officials are looking into the case.
I don't know. That is dependent on the justice, and we are looking at whatever was happening during the fact that it's a long time he was not in Haiti, and we are looking at that. We are not at this.
While Haiti's former dictator has returned, the country's first democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, remains forcibly exiled. Aristide has lived in South Africa since a U.S.-backed coup against him in 2004. The Haitian government, under rumored U.S. pressure, has long refused to authorize his return. A former Swiss banker has handed over a trove of data to the online whistleblower WikiLeaks. At a news conference in London, Rudolf Elmer gave WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange information on some 2,000 offshore account holders.
I'm against the system. I know how the system works, and I know that from a day-to-day business. So from that point of view, I want to let society know what I do know and how this system works, because it's damaging our society in a way that money is moved back away to, for instance, from financial institutions, multinational conglomerates, high net worth individuals. The money is hidden in offshore centers, so secrecy jurisdictions, technically correct.
Elmer headed the Cayman Islands office of the bank Julius Baer until his firing in 2002. He's scheduled to go on trial in Switzerland this week on allegations of breaching bank secrecy. Assange said WikiLeaks would carefully review the material before a potential release.
We will treat this information like all other information we get. So yes, I presume once we've looked at the data, assuming it's not anomalous, assuming it's like everything else we receive, yes, there will be full revelation.
The Israeli government is preparing another major settlement expansion in occupied East Jerusalem. Some 1,400 new homes will be added to the Gilo settlement near the West Bank town of Bethlehem. It's Israel's largest single settlement expansion since unveiling plans to add 1,600 homes during a visit from Vice President Joe Biden last March. Thousands of people marched in Tel Aviv this weekend to protest a government probe of Israeli human rights groups. Earlier this month, the Israeli parliament formed a committee to investigate the funding of several left-leaning Israeli NGOs and activist organizations. Adam Keller of the group Gush Shalom denounced the move as a witch hunt.
There is a very big danger to Israeli democracy and to the future of this country, because we have a government where there is a very dominant presence of racists and anti-democratic people, and some of them really are outright fascists.
A firm closely tied to the private military giant Blackwater has won an $84 million U.S. government contract in the occupied West Bank. Former Blackwater affiliate International Development Solutions has been awarded a one-year deal that could be extended up to 2016. Although the contract calls for guarding U.S. personnel, there are rumors operatives will be used to train other contractors, as well as the U.S.-backed Palestinian Authority Security Force. Blackwater now goes by the name Z Services. That's XE. Martin Luther King Day saw a number of protests and social justice actions around the country. In Arizona, 3 people were arrested after marching onto the Davis